everybody.
Hello.
We're the Quad City Needle Minders. I'm Nitya from Daybreak Stitchery.
I'm Maryam from Maryam Crafts on Instagram and Maryam Designs on Etsy.
I'm Julie and Stitches 16 here on YouTube and on Instagram.
And I'm Sarah from Mod Cross Patterns, Mod Cross on Instagram and Etsy.
And we call ourselves the Quad City Needle Minders because we're from Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and we meet in the Quad Cities when we want to see each other and stitch together.
Yes.
So we're here for second part, right? Second installment of our Stitchy chat. And we wanted to give you an update on all of our lemons. Last time we talked about our lemon projects. And then we have a new topic for today. What were we going to call our topic for today? Do you remember? We gave it a cute name, remember? We had a
Courage
cute
to
name.
convert or courage?
Oh, yes.
Oh, color courage, I think. Color courage. And then
maybe.
it had another, well, anyway, talk about color, everybody.
Yeah.
I like that. The courage to convert.
Yeah, courage to convert. So we'll have some color chat in a second. Anybody got anything you want to mention before we get into it?
No,
we're getting into it then.
Let's go.
Okay, so we had each brought a lemon last time, so we have a first video that's out on maybe Maryam. Is it on your channel?
Yeah, it is.
And so it'll say Quad City Needle Minders per episode 1, and we each brought a project that we thought was a lemon, and we gave each other tips on what to improve. So this is mine. It is Squirrels of Sumatra by Ink Circles, and here's what it looks like.
Oh, look at it.
And so I got some tips on, I have made a huge miscount, like all down in here. So this group gave me some advice to basically just proceed, to make amendments and then just keep going. And it's okay if it doesn't look all symmetrical when it's over. So I've been proceeding. So I got this couple motifs down here finished. And then I've been working on these bands over here. So I was working on this one this morning.
Nice.
So it's coming
beautiful.
along. Thanks for the encouragement, you all, because I think I'm going to finish this in 2024 now. It's really not that far from finishing.
Yeah.
It's on 18. What's that?
It looks beautiful.
Oh, thanks. So it's on 18 Count Mystic by Picture This Plus, and it's using Sulky 4044 is the color.
It just takes my breath away every time, Nitya. That color combination.
So much. Yeah, I had put a lot of work into it, so I was really bummed out to see that I had like totally miscounted all over the bottom of that section, but it's fine. It will proceed.
Okay.
It's even more beautiful in person.
I bet.
Oh, thanks, Jared. Yeah, I had worked on this.
It's actually, the color combination is more striking in person.
Yeah.
You'll have to bring that to our next.
I'll bring it. Yeah. Yes. Hopefully it'll be done and framed by then. Because I think I have one of my thrift store frames that I have in my stash here, I think will fit it. So hopefully that will give me some incentive to finish it.
Good.
Okay, I guess I'm next.
Yeah.
So my lemon project is the Natural World SAL by PixelPixieXStitch. And so I ran out of steam last time, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So initially, after I talked to you guys, I decided to, there was a whole coat here that I stitched and was not done. So I decided to go finish the coat and then bring down the border and finish off the pattern. However, since then, I changed my mind. I started frogging all the coat out because I decided there are other motifs and bands that I actually prefer more than the coat. So I still am cutting it. So there's another row of alphabet that I'm not going to stitch. There is another row of letters, I think, that I'm not going to stitch, and the coat that I'm leaving out. Instead, there are 2 other bands and these side motifs that I'm going to stitch in.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to bring down the border.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. I love that idea.
Yeah.
There
It's
are
great.
a lot of beautiful motifs and bands in that pattern. I like that idea a lot.
That floss is so perfect.
Yeah, the floss is, so fabric is 18 count, Aida in light coffee, and then the floss is Sulky 12 weight in olive tree.
That sure is nice.
40.89.
Wow.
Yeah. So this project will come back when we talk about colors as well.
Good. Two birds, one stone.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my lemon was, we know him, we love him. We love to talk about him, praise him, and scold him. Jacob Madam Folk Embroidery. This was the 2022 year-long stitch along that I sadly did not keep up with, which comes as no surprise to this group or the masses. Would you, Jacob?
Also, I think that's the majority experience of
Yes.
modern folk embroidery sales.
Is the majority experience, except for the few like we've talked to that already have finished.
Incredible.
Stitch along, and I'm not
There
sure
they.
how do you put out the fires that your needles are creating? Those of you that have finished that. Fire extinguishers in your stitchy spot. So this is where I have gotten, and I only have printed out that much, which is good because that's all I'm going to do. So when we met, we decided collaboratively that I bring the border around this top, finish the top piece, and then maybe turn it into my firstborn drum. Thank you.
Yeah. That's gonna be nice.
I found out as I was working on this after we last met that I had miscounted in this border somewhere. But then this morning, as we were meeting and chatting, I decided to press on. Forward march. I'll figure it out. Future Julie problem. So when I get to the edge, we'll figure out and I'll compensate somehow. So I am doing this on, oh boy, you guys, today. I think this is Live and Die Outlay French Vanilla Mistake, which I am going to really enjoy freeing the rest of this fabric because I love it. It's 25 count. I'm doing 1/1. The flosses that I'm using for the internal section are Crescent Colorworks Ye Olde Gold and Dying for Cross Stitch Dark Lilac. And then the border, oh no, I didn't get it out of the bag. Where did I put my bag? So many things.
I'll hold up our lemon bags. Do you
Look
have
at that bag.
Oh yes, and the lemon bags. Thank you, Miriam.
Yeah, thanks, Maryam.
The borders, Brennan Needle, Dark Tickle, which I'm not sure if you can get anymore. Or they changed the name of it to Witchy something. But I love this.
That's beautiful. Yeah, hold that up close.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh.
It's got purple tones, white tones, gray tones. Yeah, it's
so pretty.
Perfect Halloween or spooky season, or just a really nice dark gloss.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. So yeah, so making progress forward march.
Yeah.
Nice. So mine was a Rosie the Riveter by Art and Punt on Instagram, and it was a series of 4, and they were free. And I've got one finished, and this is the second one in the series. And I was having series completionist thoughts of, I don't know if I can stitch this 4 times, but you guys were like, finish what you have, and then you can worry about the rest. And so I'm leaving off the we can do it because it's on the first one. And if I finish them vertically, then we don't need that all the time. And so she has arms now.
Yay.
So I got some.
That feels good.
I think she's happy about it. It feels pretty good. This is 16 count Tweety Bird Aida by My Vintage Needle Arts, and so it's really good car stitching, and I managed to get some good car stitching in kind of late winter, early spring here. So yeah, she's gotten some love. I think I filled in some of the hand too, but the one arm's done. There'll be some blue back stitching to delineate which part of the arm is which, and then so bring that up and fill in the hand, and then I'll just have the body.
Very cool.
So it's coming along.
Mm-hmm. We all made
And
progress,
it's all
everybody.
called for DMC. We all touched our projects. We met our goals.
Yeah.
Yay us.
Yay us, yes.
Yeah.
Yay us.
So, do we want to get into some color chat?
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Okay.
colors.
So we had kind of divided it up into some categories. So I think all of us love to play with colors. Is that a fair thing to say? Okay, so we all kind of, we're very used to changing called for colors. Sometimes I think we're more often changing them than keeping called for, right? In some cases. But anyway, so we have 3 kind of top categories of stitching. So the first one is close conversions or substitutions of fabric from stash. So like any project where you have a pretty close, like you kept the color scheme the same, but maybe stitched from stash. Does anybody have anything they want to show from that category? I don't have something from that category.
I do.
Okay, Maryam, go for it.
So my example is Tom's Foolery.
Ooh, oh yeah.
So this is originally called for is DMC, or I think it's DMC and some fancy floss, but I converted it to Sulky, and I tried to pick colors that are close to called for. So it's in the spirit of the same palette, but it's Sulky. So I feel like, and the fabric, the one that is called for is a very light tan, but I went with very light blue. So I still count this as this is very close to close conversion for me. This is as close as I go when it comes to conversion.
Yeah. So when you matched the colors, Maryam, did you look up, did you look up what the original called for colors looked like and then match them to those, or did you match it to the picture?
So how I go about it when I want to do this kind of conversion is I do have those booklets for DMC. So I went by the call for DMC list, not the fancy floss, because I didn't have those as a reference. So I found the color and then used my Sulkies, found the one that is closest to. Some of them are pretty good match, but Sulky color palette is different from DMC and doesn't have the same number of colors anyway. So for some, I had to just come as close as possible to the actual color that was called for.
It looks pretty good.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. I love every time you show that piece.
Yeah. Do a little like close up, like hold it up again and then get a little bit closer and like pan over.
Yes.
You can see.
So.
Yeah, like those pink flowers are really cool, aren't they? The large pink flowers.
Flowers are wild.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing's wild. That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, cool border too.
There's so many tiny little motifs everywhere. So I
didn't realize there are all those little triangles with the border, or the little diamonds with the border too.
No empty spot anywhere.
No.
And that's why I love it. I love it.
And who are your characters?
Oh, Crowley and Xerophil, because I didn't want to stitch Adam and Eve. So I have good Omen characters there.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. I love TV stitching.
Yes.
And that was
like, I got to it and I was like, I don't know what should I stitch, because I knew I wanted to change it. I knew I don't want to stitch Adam and Eve, but I didn't know what I'm going to substitute it with. But at the time I was watching the season 2 of Good Omen, and then the poster is literally them sitting, and they're behind them is the tree. And I'm like,
there you go.
This is it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Oh, sorry about my dogs.
Oh, I can't even hear him.
I can't hear him. All I hear is
Oh,
snow
good.
hitting the window. So
Oh,
Here, let me mute them a little further with the door. So that, Miriam, that is a historical sampler, correct? Was that
Yes. This is a
adapted,
reproduction. Yeah.
a reproduction? That's my kind of, was that a little girl?
Let me
Does
see,
it
because
have
I
the
bet
history?
there is information here. It looks like it should be a little book.
Or is there a name on the sampler when you stitch it?
No, there isn't a name.
I was gonna say that child is my spirit child. Like, that's
Yeah.
what I would be stitching.
Same.
Oh,
Because this is the most amazing, like, mind, because this is
right.
all
Yeah.
from
Colorful.
imagination, right?
Yes.
This is someone essentially painting with threads
mhm.
on a fabric. So I'm like, this is like, I want to live in this little child's head.
Yes.
Look at this. Like, we're looking forward to stitching this guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot more coming.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Looks like
look at
there's
that.
Waldo.
He is very
And
Waldo.
then the most amusing part that I already stitched is what I assumed should be her.
On the
This
house.
little girl in top hat on a chimney.
Okay.
Cute.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this?
So fun.
Goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to do that one someday.
Yeah. I don't like a lot of reproduction samplers, but this one is
Yeah.
very unique.
Mm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have my close to different threads is Critters. God's Critters, we call it Critters by the Workbasket. Miriam has finished hers. I am trying. I'm getting there. I'm getting
You're
there.
getting there.
Now that I pulled this out today, I want to stitch on it. I mean, isn't that kind of a resounding theme with all of us, right? We pull out a pattern and now I want to work on that. So this is the called for threads in this were sampler threads and then a couple of weeks. So I did a complete conversion. I kind of wanted to zhuzh up the colors a little bit, make it a little bolder and brighter. So I I guess the best way to describe how I go about this is I kept the same tones or maybe color family, like a blue is a blue, a red is a red, but I kind of just picked what called to me that I thought that's what I want to see in this pattern. More variegated, I'm sure, than what the original, because these patterns are older. Were there dates on these, Miriam? Some of the Workbasket? Probably early 2000s.
There should be. Yeah, I think it's 2003 or 2004 or something like that.
Okay. So lots of, my favorites for those of you that have watched my floss tubes. Cottage garden threads are in here. Night Stalker's Calling, almost always.
Yeah, that teal
Um,
up front is beautiful.
Yes.
That teal and
That's
that
so
blue.
pretty.
Is that
Yeah.
Night Stalker's Calling? Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Yes. And
That's
again,
pretty.
I want to free all this floss because there's some good ones in here. I have another pattern in mind that I would really like to use this, the Hugs and Kisses from
Oh, that's
and
pretty.
Cat. Hi,
Mhm.
Luna.
Oh,
From Cottage Garden Threads, Color and Cotton. So just a variety of threads that I pulled to be similar. And then the fabric is Be Stitch Me Ledger, which is hi cats. Hi cat. It's cats, right? Um, which I just love I could use this for
very
so much
pretty.
because it just has undertones of blues and yellows and tans and a little bit of green, and it's just a very, I don't know, it just works for me and my eye for so many different patterns. But anyways, so here's those little bit bolder colors from the pattern.
Very nice.
One nice thing about that pattern too is they're individual individual critters, and so it's easy to like, I'm going to pop this one up it's like a separate decision. They don't all necessarily have to blend together.
Did you say, are you matching, like, for example, the red bird on the bottom there in the picture, is it also red? Are you doing like
sorry,
color?
Nitya, can you repeat that? My cat hit a key on my keyboard.
Did you match the colors with the pictures? So for example, that red bird on the bottom, is it also red in the picture?
Yes.
Or are you picking as you go along?
Yep. So you can see like the red on here is more of a pink and a little more toned down, and I made it bolder.
I see it.
So more of a bolder color palette.
I love the colors. I love those like yellowy colors you have on there. I love yellow.
Thank you. Yeah. So that was fun. It was fun to, I think, and I know that all of us agree that's part of the creativity of stitching, is taking the pattern and really making it your own. And that feeds that. Is that your left brain or your right brain?
The
you should know this and we don't. Yeah.
The creative side of your brain. That part.
Get what it is, because there's a book, there's like a very well-known book that is supposed to be teaching you how to draw, and it's is it Draw with Your Right Brain? Now I forget what it's called, but that's the one that if we remember the title of it, we'll know which drawing for your left brain. I don't know. I don't remember. I like what you said about
going to stay out.
Yeah, you could chip away at that one.
Yeah, I don't have much. I mean, really, it's a pretty quick stitch.
It is, it's not that big. It's actually quick if you put in the time.
What are you getting at, Maryam? What are you trying to say?
When we only have a few whips,
then you get distracted. That's all.
You only have a few whips to choose from in your life.
Yeah. I like what you were saying, Julie, about like picking the colors that you're drawn to. Because I feel like I do that too. Like if I'm looking at a few different colors, it's like, what's the one I want to stare at the most while I'm stitching, I think that there's something to that, there's a little extra joy when it's like a very vibrant color or something that you're super attracted to. And almost you want to keep stitching on it. You want to keep going on it. Yeah.
And most of our projects we're stitching for ourselves. We're the ones that are going to look at them all the time. So do what you love. Do what you make it something that you like and enjoy.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I have seen that in other floss soup happen also as well. And sometimes people apologize when they have so many of the similar theme and similar color palette repeatedly. But I'm like, there is no need to apologize. If you love purple and all of your projects are converted to purple, go for it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. And that probably happens subconsciously. Oh, what was that, Julie?
I said it's your hobby. Do what you love.
Yeah, it's your hobby. Well, and it's probably like, for any of us who've accumulated stash, like I know I not thinking about it, I'm just like drawn to teals. So I have like this range of teals. So then they all get used all the time, so then all my projects end up having teal. But it's not like I go to the store thinking I'm going to buy out every single teal shade that's here. You just end up somehow accumulating them. Same with I have a lot of purples too, for that same reason. So it's just how it goes.
Yeah. I think it's mostly us who do stash shopping rather than kidding off shopping. If you're buying stuff for a stash, you naturally buy those things that are more attractive. You're drawn to them, right? So you end up with a similar color palette or color palette that is like your favorite color palette. You tend to gravitate toward the same thing because that's what you love, right? But if you are just buying stuff to kit up a project and you're not doing separately like in individual just stash shopping, there is more chance of just sticking to what is at least close to what's called for.
Yeah, that might be, I think there's something to that. Yeah, for sure.
And I know I'll go through like, everything I buy is green. Like I have all this green fabric that I must have been in my green era. And then I have a bunch of purple, and then I have some blue. So like, but yes, and I am that type of shopper. If I see something pretty, I may not have a project in mind for it at that time. I just want that in my stash so that when the perfect pattern comes along, I can use it for that.
Yeah. Nice.
Sarah looks like she's hanging with the kids for a second.
Okay.
Should we just keep going, then we loop Sarah back in?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, so the next category was, do we have anything where we're using very different fabric or floss from the called for? And that includes, did any of us do any inverting, like dark fabric and light floss, or vice versa, or like going from monochromatic to multiple colors, or multiple colors to monochromatic? Sarah, do you want to, did you have something for close conversions?
No, I didn't get anything out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But
So
you have one for inversion, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, guys, I'm doing this one, the seasonal series. So it's, let me get them in order. This is by Summer House Stitchworks. So it's Winter Cometh. That was the first one that came out. And then Spring Awakens. Looks like that. So they're all, I don't know if you're seeing it, but she's divided it up into these like vertical bands that get stitched in different colors.
Those are so interesting to me.
They're interesting. Summer
I
refreshes.
like them, but then I see yours and I'm like, oh, I like
Autumn
that too.
provides. So I was playing around with some different colors, trying to match from stash and do colors, but I just didn't like the way it was turning out. I feel like there are some really cute details in the design. Like, I don't know if you're seeing this bird, it has an umbrella.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the details, like of the actual motifs, were getting lost. So, by changing colors. So I'm just doing it all in DMC 310.
I love it.
So here's
Yeah.
Winter.
More striking and
That's
It
what I
is.
think too.
bolder.
Yeah. So this fabric, I'm going to be real honest, I don't know what it is. But I have my cone of DMC 310. So I have plenty of DMC 310 to use up. So winter will be here. Spring I've started here. So that bird with the umbrella will go in like right here. And then summer I started down here. And then autumn will go here.
I love how you're collaging them.
Yeah.
I think it should turn out okay. It's not going to be super, super big. Like it'll be basically right here on the fold is where it'll end, I think. So it'll end up being like maybe a 12 by 12 square or something like that.
It'll be so cool to see all four of them together in a monochromatic.
And I do feel like you can see the motifs really clearly with just the one color.
Oh,
so I'm using two strands. Two strands of 310.
What count fabric was that, Nitya?
This
30.
is a 36 count fabric.
Okay.
I think. I don't remember what the fabric is. I have it written in my
echo,
journal somewhere, but yeah.
I'd echo Maryam. That is striking. It's
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, and you can see it like even if I hold it back, you can still see what the shape is, right? Like you can tell what it is. So I think it'll look good from far away. So that was I stitch a lot of monochromatic patterns, so it just made sense they're just easier. You don't like not making the choices about color. So switching from color to monochromatic just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah. Comfort. It's that then it
becomes
a comfort stitch then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. So that's my I don't know if it's it's switching from color to monochromatic.
Yeah. So I have what you're familiar with now. So this is originally designed in two colors, but I wanted to make it as easy on my eyes as possible because I wanted to use this project as the break between other projects that I was working on. And at the time, and usually working on very bold colors. And this is not that. This is tan and green. So it was like, okay, so I'm going to just stitch it in one color. So I'm not even thinking about changing or switching up anything. So making it as easy as possible. And it's pretty doable. Like, for example, these like strands of DNA. When you're looking at they should be in 2 colors, but I stitched it in 1, and it still looks good.
Looks
All the
fine.
trees supposed to be in
Mhm.
2 colors, but they're not, and it worked out. Of course,
Actually, it looks more natural that way.
yes,
Yeah, it looks like you intended to.
conversion doesn't always work if there
Mhm.
are overlapping colors.
Hmm.
If they're close and overlap, and
Mhm.
there are actually motifs that are next to each other in 2
Mhm.
colors, and there is no separation, then you need to figure something out, either adjust the pattern, to rechart it to make it work, or just be okay with the whole thing look as uniformly as 1 color. But this
Or
is
you
not
could probably like fussy cut the
yeah.
variegated
Oh,
floss, right?
that too. With
Yeah.
Sulky, you can't do that because transition is really
Yeah.
quick. Yeah,
Mhm.
but yes, so that's mine.
Your peahen turned out perfect.
Get up real close to the camera
Like
so we can
Yeah, I
see.
look
love
at your
it.
peahen. The neck is dark, and then like the bottom of the
Yeah,
feathers on its
Oh,
back
yeah,
and
that
on the
worked out
tail
really
are
well.
dark. Like the variegation worked out perfect.
and it
Mhm.
wasn't intentional. It just happened.
Mhm. Well, I feel like there are a lot of happy accidents with sulky variegated.
Yeah,
It works out really well. Yeah.
And that's a really good thing to consider too, is you have to consider your stitching experience, right? I mean, you had a very specific, I want to use this as a break, as opposed to, I want to, some pieces you want to look a certain way, but also you have to stitch them. So that's also a really good thing to consider.
That's very true.
Mhm.
Cool.
Well, I have in a color inversion to share, and I don't think that do I have the two. So this was my birthday start this year. Tree of Life by Yasmin's Made with Love. So Yasmin designed this in the aesthetic of Polish folk paper cutting. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I really need to ask her the right pronunciation. Um, so the two examples she gives on the pattern are, of course, black on white and then red on white, which I did really enjoy that too because the Polish flag is red and white. But I chose to get this incredibly gorgeous piece of red fabric. I'm just going to cover my face from Live and Die LA and just use DMC white. That's just DMC white. And it is, yeah,
It's beautiful.
it's just it's striking. Again, that'll be the word of the day.
Yeah.
Striking.
so
It looks
gorgeous.
like lace
So
Yeah.
when it's
beautiful.
done in white like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so pretty.
And it's an enjoyable stitch. I'm loving. I recently started putting a strand a day on March 6th. I don't know whose floss tube I was watching, and they were talking about doing a strand a day. I'm like, I'm gonna do that on my Tree of Life. But then, when you commit to something like that after about 15 days, that should be when you form the habit. That's when I kind of lost the habit.
So
So like
hard.
the other day I did
Yeah.
2 strands, and then 2 days later I did 2 more strands, but whatever.
It's just whenever you're able to
Progress
put
is
something into
progress.
it. Yeah. Progress is progress.
Progress is progress. But I am happy with the progress that I did get. And I think always do, well, and not always, but not always at all. But I try to do I was testing out different flosses. So I
Mhm.
think I tested out flower silk, a dinky dyes, and then DMC white. And DMC white won for coverage and for um boldness. Because I really wanted something that would complement this bold
Yeah.
fabric.
Yeah.
What count did you say it was, Jewel?
This is 40
Pretty
count.
count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
You could,
sometimes a little hard on the eyes. I have to have good light for
yeah.
this. It is such a dark fabric. But
You could basically just hang that up on the wall right now. It
I know the
So
fabric
gorgeous.
is
would still
almost
be
like
like,
a
wow,
banana
what's that?
of an art piece. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't paying very close attention to that pattern until you started stitching it. And then she has it hung up, her finished one.
Yeah.
In her floss tube, she has it hung up right behind her. And so I was watching one of her videos and I thought, what is that? And it's this tree of life. I was like, oh my gosh, now we're gonna have to add that to the someday list.
I mean, the
It
new
looks
pattern
so
she
pretty.
came up with recently,
Oh,
that one that is like red on white,
Yeah.
another
yeah,
red on
that's
white, the floral
yeah.
one. I'm really tempted on stitching that in this colorway.
Oh,
to flip it.
inverting it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
The flipping it.
Yes.
that's gonna
that
be
would
nice.
gorgeous. Oh, did I say this is Living by LA in the colorway Valor?
Valor.
Valor, you said?
Valor. Yep.
Yeah.
Valor. Yep.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing. They have good fabrics. I have to stay off their website.
Yeah.
No buy till July, right?
Intentional
Intentional buy till July.
you know, if they really needed it for
There, you got anything for this one?
Was that? Did you have another one, Julie?
no. I'm good.
Okay.
You go. Yeah.
Okay. I have an inversion as well. So this is Waiting for the Harvest by Blackbird Designs. It's in their Winds of Autumn book. And for some reason, when I saw it, I was just like, well, shouldn't the background be dark? Because it just feels more autumny. And I don't know, it's a very prim look, you know, the tan fabric and dark. And I think it also, because I have a thing for white pumpkins. And so I did the opposite.
Oh,
So this is 36 count peppercorn, I think, from, oh shoot, I should have looked
Color
this
and
up.
Cotton, I
Color
think.
and Cotton, I think,
Mhm.
yeah. And then it's just, again, DMC Blanc. And I think you do have to, well, I try to pay a little more attention on white stitches just because they do tend to show a little bit messier. But I mean, you know, do a small. You don't have to jump in and do a long dog or something with it.
Mhm.
And I love it. I love stitching it. It was really fun. So
Very pretty.
yeah, that's just a simple
I love it.
inversion.
Yeah.
Had they included the entire alphabet for those monograms?
Yes, they did.
Oh, that's good.
I was really, but it's not symmetrical. Like there's more of this pumpkin going
yeah.
off than this
Mhm.
one because when they stitched it, it was BA for Barb Adams, and so the B I think was bigger or something, and so I actually put stitches onto the I. I think it was only one or two over, and so I even like tried to make
Had
it
to stretch it out.
even a little more symmetrical. But now that it's done, it doesn't bother me too much.
Oh yeah, and it's not noticeable until you point it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
Yep.
that's just a my brain thing. But yeah, now it's done, it's like, oh, it's done. I don't mind. It's
Love
funny how that works.
Love
And
that.
then I had one of adding colors to a monochromatic design, and it's one of Maryam's Song of Nowruz. And I think I'd seen somebody doing it in 3 colors on Instagram. I was like, oh, I like the adding colors idea, but I thought maybe it was just I preferred doing 2. And so that's Song of Nowruz. And so I did a tone on tone experiment. So this is 36 count memory from Picture This Plus, and then 2 Belle Soie colors. And there's like a darker pink and then the lighter pink. And so that was fun. I think it was just mostly to make the birds stand out. And then kind of the center of the motifs ended up being the light color as well.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And I love tone and tone. Tone and tone is yeah.
It's very nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I think when you have kind of motifs like that are like easy to like, oh, I want to punch that up or really make that stand out. That's why I think a lot of people like do the animals and the long dogs in a different color. You know, that sort of thing is a really nice way to kind of a simple way to punch up a monochromatic design.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Fair to say that Sarah is kind of the finishing expert in our group?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. Or you fake it really well.
Wouldn't say expert, but I do force myself to FFO things when I can.
Yeah. That's what it takes. You just have to make yourself do it.
Yeah, you just have to give yourself a deadline to get your own designs done, and then when you have all your stuff out, you go, "Oh, I should probably fully finish that other
something
stuff."
else. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Or I say, hey, Mom, do you want to make me another project bag? And then off you go.
That's the only one
That's a
I
good
finished
plan.
that I'm all for these. I'm
You're
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I can do it project bag.
You've
That's
done a
fine.
flat fold. Come
I've done
on.
a flat fold, but I had to do it for magazine. Like
See, it helps.
Yeah, you designers probably are under pressure to do some finishing. The rest of us can just throw it in our under the bed box.
Correct.
yeah,
later.
plenty of my finishes are under the bed, like in a row. I roll them all up, and they're all in the closet.
They're
I have
there
an
until
on-the-shelf bag. That's where my finishes go, in the on-the-shelf bag instead of the under the bed box.
Away from the pets.
Yeah.
Or I just tack them up on my bulletin board and they hang.
I was going to say, the ones hanging up behind Nitya look great.
Yeah, that's true. I've been tidying. It doesn't look like it, but I've been organizing a little bit. So I took down all the ones that were here, but Autumn Dream is still up there, and Pine Capal and some others. Yeah,
there.
Anna's Shimu Birds is up there.
I received a special present in the mail of fabric from a special friend, and I think that Autumn Dream is going to look absolutely perfect.
It is going to be the tiniest little thing. Wow. Oh my god.
It'll be cute. It'll be very cute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You see a 46 count purple fabric, like, might as well just send it to Julie.
You just have to, make use of that. So, we had one other category, which was different fabric and floss for a totally different vibe than what was called for.
Where Nitya and Maryam just excel, I think.
I think all of us are pretty good at experimenting with this one.
I have 2 examples for that.
You have 2? I have
only 2. Come on.
Yeah.
I think I have 2. I pulled 2 as well. Okay, so good. One of them is we haven't seen this in a long time because I don't think I worked on it at all in 2023. It's Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut. And I liked all these tiny little, like that moth is beautiful. Everything is so pretty. Like this pot with the overflowing vines. I thought that was really lovely, this flower. There's a lot to like about this.
That border's pretty good too.
The border's pretty too. So, but I was thinking, I'd like to do like a night garden conversion and change all the colors to darker tones. So that's what I did. So I haven't pulled this. It's super wrinkly, guys. I didn't iron it or anything, but I'll hold it up. So here's what I'll just kind of pan over a little bit and see if you can you see it okay?
Look at that moth.
Yeah.
Oh, and the blue flower on the bottom. Wow.
That blue flower is my favorite. I love that flower.
Yes.
And then I actually I started doing that little pot with the vines in it. I forgot I had gotten this far on it. So I'm almost done at the bottom.
You stitched a lot on this.
I have. So I really need to get back to this at some point.
I love that the lady has blue hair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of maybe some kind of like moon goddess kind of theme to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So on this one, so I once again, I don't know what this fabric is. Anyone have an idea what this might be?
Nope.
I don't know. I have to check my notes, but it's basically like a blue-green. It's a dark blue-green. And so I sit with my DMC box. When I kitted this up, I sat with my DMC boxes, and there's on the back of the booklet, so it came in like a little spiral bound booklet. There's a list of all the called for colors. So I didn't really pay attention to those too much, except for I looked at, like, if it called for a red, was it a light red, a dark red, or a medium red? And then same with the greens. And so I try to match tones on those. So like if it called for a certain number of dark tones, I try to have a certain number of matching dark tones. And then same with light and same with medium. And then I genuinely, like, for each motif that I started, I did not plan ahead. I just said, okay, on these flowers, let's try light blue for the stems. Okay, let's try a contrasting dark blue for the flower, and then let's accent it with. So as I stitched each one, I just made up the color. So it was 100% experimental.
So it's not necessarily this light red is becoming this light blue for everywhere
No,
that's
I
used
thought I
now.
was going to at first, so I kind of matched, when I was doing the tonal matches, I made sure I had it's like the same number of flosses, but then when I sat to stitch it, I was like, wow, I'm just gonna stitch whatever might look interesting and different. So
Nice.
that's how I did it. So as I add each motif, I'm gonna make decisions
Okay.
for each one. Like that little pot is kind of cute too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have the fabric picked out first?
I did not. This was fabric
Okay.
from Stash, and I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of dark fabrics. I have a lot of brightly colored fabrics, but I'd like to invest in some more like gray, kind of darker tones. So this was one of the few that I had, so that's the one I picked because it was one of the few darker ones I had. But if I had had something like a charcoal, maybe I might have gone with something even darker. But I think this is fine too. This lends itself to something naturey
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, and it lets you
Green.
be able to put in those dark blues then too.
Yeah, I can have a little bit better range of color on it. So
All those blue tones look amazing on that fabric.
Yeah.
pretty good, right? They all stand out pretty
Yes.
okay. So I think there's one thing, and I can't recall what it is now, but there's oh, I think I know what it is. The accents on her face, those were they were like, they were charted to be a little bit different, and I improvised by using that green in there. So I don't remember exactly why I had to do that, but I know I had to make
She
some
had
last
blush
minute
on?
decisions about that.
She had blush
Yeah,
on?
she's got kind of like rosy cheeks.
So you made them green cheeks.
Yeah.
Cute.
So
Mhm.
so
I
that's
love
what
it.
that is. And then I have another. Should I show it now or should we do a lap around? Should I?
Should we do Miriam's Come to the Garden as well?
Yeah, Miriam, do yours.
Okay, we can go back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, so you already know what it looks like.
I can hold it up again in case you forget, but
I'm
oh, that's nice.
So this was a journey. So I knew so I looked at it out. I'm like, I like the design, but I don't like the color palette at all. This is so, I don't know, prim to me. The colors are very folky, I don't really like the color palette that most of Teresa Kogut's patterns are in.
I was gonna say it's a very her.
Yes,
palette.
it's very her signature color, but
Yeah.
they're not as bold as I like them to be. I like very, very bold in your face kind of colors. So I started with the fabric. I knew that I wanted to stitch on a blue. Originally, this was not the fabric. I actually restarted this. This is the second time I'm stitching it. The first one was a medium tone blue that was actually more striking than this. This is a little darker. This is, picture this plus in Mystic. And I first started stitching on that, but then the fabric was not really good. It was shredding my thread, and I was like, I'm not spending all that time for a big, big project in agony to finish it up. I'm not going to do it. So I just threw away that fabric and looked at my stash, and I saw that I have a piece of Mystic. So I picked this. So sort of, I had to adjust my colors based on that. So how did I go about choosing the colors? I ignored the color palette completely. I just took the reference photo just because I needed to know the tones, if there is a medium tone, light, or dark, and then chart. So I'm going to just show the chart from the back. So I had that as a reference because I wanted to know which colors are sitting beside each other when I'm choosing my colors. And then I went to my Sulky and start picking colors that I like. So I knew that I, for example, need a hot pink, a medium pink, and light pink. So I picked 3 and then went back to my chart to figure out if they sit next to each other and what they will look like if they sit next to each other. And then I decided based on that. And I picked all the colors based on that for the first fabric. Then when I switched my fabric, I come to realize that some of the greens that I chose and some of the blues will not work for this one. It would not show up as much. So I had to adjust my colors again and came up with the final color palette, which was this. The only thing that I have to say is I'm not really locked into the color palette in terms of like what if the call for now based on what I chose my palette doesn't make sense, I will change it. So for example, the face was originally based on my new color palette was supposed to be in a blendable color, which will look very odd on a face. so I decided to go with the cream that was already in my palette instead. So I'm adjusting as I go based on motifs and where they are sitting. But in general, it's the original like Sulky conversion.
That's
I
beautiful.
wanted to have like a summery feel to it. Because I feel like the original design is more fall. And I wanted to have a summery feel. And this, I think I achieved it, I will say.
Yeah, you did good.
You did.
Summery.
You know what's surprising about that? Those greens are really beautiful on that blue fabric. Don't they really stand out? I would never guess.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. You
Yeah, I
don't
think
really
it
think of
worked out.
putting blue and green together like that, but that really works.
I think it depends on the tone of blue.
Yeah.
Mystic has a little bit of undertone of like greenish, earthy. It's not cool blue. Doesn't have that purpley hue undertone. So that's why it works.
Yeah. Very cool.
So you looked at the ones that would be close together, but then you had your whole palette picked out before you started stitching.
Yeah.
So you looked at them as a group as well.
Yeah.
Not only what would be right next to each other.
Yeah. So I had a sort of like floss toss, color toss, and I took the photo and checked the tone. So you take a photo, you switch it to black and white just to make sure that all the colors will pop up in terms of tone on your fabric. And if something didn't pop out, I checked the pattern to make sure that it's sandwiched between colors that will make it pop up. So it's in the pattern, not outside. It's not on the edges. And then when that was achieved, then I was like, okay, so this is it. This is my palette.
I love that black and white picture tip. Or even to have flosses together that are to make sure each one is distinct.
Yeah. I always do that because I rarely stitch what is called for. So I always have a floss toss. That's the first thing I do. Usually there is either a floss that I know I want to stitch in and everything else is built around it, or a fabric that I know I want to stitch on and everything is built around that.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. Like if you have a fabric that you just are drawn to and you're like, it's definitely going to go on this, everything else is going to be adjusted to make it fit, so that's stitched on here. Yeah. It helps to have like one thing set, right? And then you can work everything else around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I like that, having that anchor. Like you know that this is my starting point because everything is in the air. So you need something that is holding it down, and then you build based on that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that conversion. Both of yours. I just love that you're taking.
Want to hold up yours, Nitya, side by side?
Yeah, hold them both up because they're so different, but they're both beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah, look at that.
And just that's shining examples of don't discount a pattern by it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a pattern by its colors. Like you can make it your own. You can make it something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like if you have doubt in terms of if you look at the pattern itself and you're not sure if you like the palette or the actual design, take a photo of the pattern, of the cover photo of the pattern, and turn it to black and white. And then look at it that way. So you're not distracted by the color palette that you're looking at. You're just seeing the actual design. And then you can decide, okay, am I drawn to the design enough that I can like invest in it and then do my own thing with the colors? Or no, this is like a no.
Good.
Genius.
Yeah, I love that idea. I've never thought of that. So thank you. I mean, it makes
Yeah, I've
so
never
much
thought of that either.
Yeah. You could even make it a coloring book, right? Get out your colored pencils and
Yeah.
start coloring
Ooh.
in that black and white. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you're
That's true.
not tech savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Want to
Well,
go
mine
back
is,
to you, Nitya?
very simple, but, go ahead. Oh, Nitya, that's right. You had another one. Sorry.
Well, you go ahead. What were you about to
Oh,
say,
no,
Julie?
no, no. No, you go. You go.
Oh, well, I just had one other one because the topic was different fabric and floss for different vibe, right? So this is I guess we're fans of Picture This plus Mystic because it keeps showing up on
Yes, we
everything.
are.
So these are my two patterns. I don't know if you remember from the Workbasket.
Yes.
So this one is Rabbit Roundel and this one is Swan Roundel. And I just thought, well, these are so springy. Shouldn't we stitch it in springy colors? So these are both variegated sulkies. I don't remember what colors they are, but I can look them up and put them in our episode notes. And I put them both together because I think what I want to do is eventually have this become a project bag or something. So I kept them both together, and I inverted one of the patterns. So how did I do it? Because they're both supposed to be facing the same direction, but instead I stitched them so that they're facing each other. The swan is facing the rabbit.
Okay.
So I think what I did is I scanned a copy of the pattern and then made it a PDF and flipped it. And then I printed or made it an image maybe and flipped it and then printed out that one so that I could read the chart that way. I think that's what I did. But so yeah, I just went with the charted pattern is in very muted colors. So it's on like a neutral fabric with some kind of like a pastel pink. I think I can't remember exactly what the called for was, but I was like, no, we're gonna shout spring with this pattern.
No.
And the model was stitched in relief like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that part
Okay.
was charted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that part was charted like that. So that's my different fabric and floss for that one.
Speaking
Julie,
of Workbasket, my next one is
oh, you have
Workbasket.
another one. Oh yeah.
It's
the big one.
It's the big one. It's my unicorn. It's Stitch in Time. That was a whole thing to find it. Now that I have it, it's here. So I originally decided to stitch it as called for. Now, when you see what I ended up with, you're like, what? What happened? So I started kitting it up based on this. So I found a light brown fabric, and then this is all creams and blues and browns colors. So I was picking colors, and no matter what, I was not happy with any of it. I'm like, this is not working out. Why? And then I realized it's because this is not what I do. This is not me. I don't do color. I should have stopped trying. So I was like, you know what? Let's forgo that and then go with what I usually do. Where should I start? Then I usually, like, as I said, I need something that anchors everything. I was like, this is my unicorn pattern that at the time I didn't have a copy of my own. I was lending Michelle's copy. So it was a pattern from a friend. I was like, okay, so I can choose a fabric that I got from a friend, and that way that will be my starting point. So I went with There.
Wow.
This was a fabric hand dyed by Dee. And they sent it to me like it was one of the snail mail. So what they do is if you comment on their video, they sometimes like randomly pick someone and they send something. So and by the way, D's 20 stitches. So they sent me this piece of 18 count Aida that they hand dyed. And I was like, this is gorgeous. I need to find something to stitch on it. So when this came out, I'm like, this is what I want to stitch on. So I picked it up. And then I was like, okay, so now let's build a palette around that. I like the idea of blues on red and tone on tone. So I'm doing both. This is my
Oh, wow.
Stop it. I mean, keep going.
So it's mostly red, one brown, and then all of these blues, and then one gray.
Can you hurry up and get more?
I know, right?
Nothing stitched up. Come on.
Why are you stitching anything else?
Like, I need to get back to this. Because I only have like, I think 1 or 2 days of stitching on it. That's it. Just started in the border and I was like, okay, I have a start.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
So yeah, it's mostly, and the flosses that I have is Cotton Guardian threads, it's Daydream, which is this beautiful thing. And then I have threadworx, the red one. And then I do have some silk for you. Again, threadworx, sticks for you. So it's a combination of silk and cotton. Another threadworx, silk, and silk. Oh, this is another. This is not a stalker color. This one.
That's very nice.
Speckled.
What color is that?
This is Tainted Love.
Okay.
I'm going to be singing that all day.
And this is another non-stalker color. So yeah, so that's my color palette.
Oh,
very pretty.
So yeah, it's both tone and tone, and then bold colors.
So is that the same number as number of flosses is called for then?
So it's the same thing, same process. I decided that I want to stitch on the fabric, and I knew that I wanted to do blue, so I started with the blues first. I picked blues because I knew that I need dark and medium and light. So I went with that. Then I added the rest, the reds and grays.
Really curious to see how all those blues turn out on that fabric. We're waiting for you to get to one of those parts.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see that.
Yeah. I'm like, I need to get back to this pattern. I really am neglecting it. I only stitch on it 2 days. That's it. And on some level, I feel like this being my unicorn pattern is preventing me from stitching on it because I don't want to do it. I don't want to stitch it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like sort of savoring stitching on it, which is not a good way to look at it. I should be able to say, oh, this is my unicorn pattern. I can't put it down. But, definitely.
It's hard when you've looked forward to something for
definitely on my list to stitch on this year. Hopefully, I'm aiming for finishing it by the end of this year, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I love it.
What did Sarah say earlier? Progress is progress.
Progress is progress.
Whatever little bit gets done is fine.
Yes.
I was going to say, what can we do to help you so that you can get all those colors in so we can see it? What can we do for you, Maryam? Can we go to work for you?
Maybe you could stop designing for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Get your actual stitching done. How about that? That's something you could do.
I was like, ooh, I have an itch, but I don't have any deadline to actually release anything because I don't have the weekly this
Yeah, the
week
SAL is done.
because the SAL is done.
Yeah.
There is a void a little bit before I'm having some schedule, like rarely. I never schedule any release, but I have some schedule release for June because of Pride Month. But
Mm.
like before that, everything is like in the air. You know, I can design something or I can just let it go and stitch on the stuff. We'll see what wins.
And could we all just, Dee, if you're watching, you should dye more fabric.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
I for
That was
the
very nice. Yeah.
Please.
I thought you were going to say that it was Jesse's fabric because they have those kind of
yeah.
splotchy, you know, the that ice dyed fabric.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Jesse's fabric is usually more like striking the contrast of the colors because of ice dye.
Yeah.
But I don't think this was ice dyed. So it's the method is a little different. That's why it's more blended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Julie, you want to show what you got?
Sure. So mine is a pretty simple example of using a different fabric and floss, and kind of goes back to the, you know, monochrome, but making it your own. And I know I probably had other examples, but too many. We're all good at choosing our own adventure.
Yeah.
So this is Jacob again, but a realistic sized Jacob. Like you can do this in a couple weeks, Jacob. Please design more of these. So this was Let Love Rule. And I just picked a purple being one of my favorite colors, and then a slightly variegated. So this is Lavender Fields by XJU Designs, 20 count. And the floss is a Mose sail silk in the colorway Tyrian, and you can see the variegation. But again, just reiterating, I guess, if you see a pattern that is, you know, in a more traditional colorway or on a, you know, a very neutral background, it doesn't have to be that. You can let love rule your your fabric and your floss choice and make it your own. And I did this as a companion piece. I chose that colorways for this. I just finished this last night, actually.
Oh.
Because I had stitched this in January, the Let's Be Kind. Also, Jacob.
That's so nice.
Let's just do a companion. Actually, Jerica and I, the other Daybreak Stitcher.
Sure.
We decided to do a small, just a palette cleanser, and that she was doing a companion piece to a different modern folk embroidery. I said, oh, good idea. I'll do that. So, you know, Jacob, if you see this, you could do more smalls and none of us would need it.
Please.
Ever.
That's very pretty. I like those kind of dark purple plum tones. It's like from far away, it could look black from far away.
Yeah.
It could look like charcoal gray. It comes across as brown sometimes. Like I like that it looks like different thing, you know, it can be perceived differently. Yeah.
Color changing.
Very pretty.
Yeah. Also depends on what fabric you're stitching on. It can come across as different colors.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice. And would that be a start and finish, a staff, since your last floss too?
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. I like that you call that a palette cleanser because I feel like we need some of those sometimes.
Yeah.
Just feel like you can finish, you know.
Yeah,
it is
just feels
possible
good
to finish something.
something.
Yeah.
So I know that's another thing that's true to all of us. Would I be accurate in saying we kind of gravitate to large projects? Big baths, big awesome projects.
Yeah.
We keep doing it despite ourselves.
Yeah, we live on the delusion that we're going to live 1,000 years.
Oh my gosh.
And who knows? Maybe we do.
Maybe.
Sarah, you got something for different fabric and floss, different
I
vibe?
do. Speaking of big projects, for the Back to School SAL, I started Tisket a Tasket from Rosewood Manor
Hey,
last
we get
fall.
to see this.
We had to see Tisket. So when I saw this, when it came out, sometimes it's like that bolt of lightning that just that inspiration kind of hits, that like light bulb moment. And it's, it's kind of that, blue and beige sort of traditional feel to it. And I was like, I mean, we were talking one of the times I was out childrening about, just, do you have your favorite colors and they're just your go-tos and that's what you do. Green and purple are mine. And so I saw this and I was like, oh, but in purple, it's not a huge leap to go blue to purple. And then my brain was like, but put it on green fabric. So I don't know that it's a different vibe. I think it still has kind of a soft florally vibe to it, but it is pretty different. And so I went and I had this fabric in stash, and I think that kind of spurred me on faster too, because I had a fabric in mind. Like I was like, oh, I could use Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. This is 36 count.
Pretty.
My lighting does not do it justice.
Hold it up a little bit closer. You can see yeah. Oh my gosh.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
So I've got the colors. So I had my fabric, so that helped. And then I was going to Be Stitch Me, the shop, when it opened. So last spring I went and kitted this up, and I have Julie's fancy things. Oh, I wish my lighting was better. And so basically I looked at the pattern and it was all called for, I think it was weeks. And so I looked online and I tried to see, okay, it looks like 4 blues and 4 kind of beiges and then a white, a bright. And so I just went to the wall of floss at Be Stitch Me and got 4, started grabbing purples and grays. And I'd find 2 that really looked good together, and then you'd bring in a third one, and it was like, oh, that throws things off. But now I like these 2 together, and so you put the original one back, and it was just kind of a back and forth. And then when I got to, this is Witchy, the darkest purple. When I got to that one, it was like, okay, that's where we're going. So then the purples fell into place pretty quickly after that. And then the grays, I thought I needed like a one darker gray than that. And I couldn't really find one that would go, because they started going real steel blue or real just like different directions, or real black. And so I left with 3 grays and then the bone. And so I figured, I'll go to my needle workshop, when I'm ready to stitch it, and get a darker gray. And so I got a darkest gray in DMC actually. And I went to start stitching and I was like, oh no, that's supposed to be a lightest gray. Like I was looking at the picture and I was like, oh, I don't need that darker gray. It's not actually that dark. The thing I thought was the dark gray was the darkest blue. And so when you went to my needle workshop with me, Nitya, we found a classic ColorWorks that was actually a lightest gray. So it kind of slid in there. So I did some kind of prep work ahead of time. I was like, okay, I need 4 purples and 4, I was feeling prepared, but still you get a little panicked, or I get a little panicked when I'm in the shop, like I'm taking too long and there's so many other things to look at, and I don't know, I think I've got it, or I'll fill it in later. And so it was kind of nice to go back in and have everything else picked out and just have that one color that you're looking for, because then you're focused, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a little less stressful. But so I started stitching and I think I talked about that in my floss tube too. I started in the upper right corner, and it was this really light motif. And so it's just like the lightest purples and the lighter grays. And I was like, I don't know. But then when the darker purples started coming in, it was like, oh yeah, okay. So
beautiful.
Have some faith in yourself, give it some time, get the colors in there. But if something's not working, don't be afraid to change your mind either.
Yeah.
So, and that was a straight, like a 1-to-1, this color becomes this color, and I'm using them for the same spots throughout so far.
Yeah. That would be like one of the best parts of having a needle workshop to go into,
Yeah,
being
it was
able to convert,
incredibly,
like see it in front of you and match color, like pull a DMC and hold it up to all the different specialty flosses and actually see what's the closest. Because I think that's a pretty hard process to do because so many of the specialty flosses are variegated. So you're not always getting exactly the tone you want, or you really do need to see it in person.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, just how lucky I was to be able to go to the shops and do it in person, because I can't imagine trying to just order a bunch of things or, and then I don't remember at the time, I don't think Be Stitch Me even had DMC there. And so it was like, it was just theirs.
Yeah.
And so you weren't pulling things to compare. They have DMC now when we were there the other week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it's like, so sometimes you can go, there's some charts available online, like this variegate, this overdyed goes to this DMC, and you can kind of go from there. But yeah, it's a lot easier in person.
Yeah. I love the color, your purple color palette you chose too, I think it like brightens it up, the pattern. It also, the original called for colors are really beautiful, but they're very calm and they kind of all sort of blend in. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say they're more vintage looking, but
maybe something like
you
that.
have like brought it to this century with the color palette.
Like I'm really looking forward to like these leaves where there's a real, saturated area of the darker purples. I'm really excited for.
It's already pretty, but it just
it's a beautiful pattern.
Even more beautiful.
Yeah. And
she doesn't design small things either.
No, although in every booklet there's like tons of
small. That's true.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I could do that. I could do that.
At least there's those.
So, I mean,
that's pretty. Yeah,
those are pretty. Those are very pretty.
So I will say there is a lot in a Rosewood Manor booklet, but the main pattern is not. She's not small.
No. No, she don't go big or go home.
Yeah.
Do we know anybody else like that?
We're all looking at our top right corner.
Not be in this Zoom call.
Keeping us busy.
I tried.
Well, what do we? Should we set a goal? Our lemons project. We had a goal. We didn't really talk about a goal for next time. Did we each we each had a whip today, right? For our color chat.
Yes.
So should one of those be? Pick one of those to be our goal for next time. Just make progress on.
Shucks! So I have to work on it to task it more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we could do that, right?
I want you to work on Tisket and Tasket so I can look at the beauty of it.
Yes. Okay. Well, or we could be very disciplined about it, and we could say that we're working on our lemon each time, and then do updates on our lemon.
Well, we have 3 months, right?
We're 3 months.
Yeah.
Doing this quarterly.
Can we touch 2 projects in 3 months?
Probably. Yeah. Should we do that?
Touch 2 projects in 3 months. So we continue working on our lemon, and then we add one of our color,
one of our pieces from today.
One of the whips from today.
Yeah. We could do that.
Can I nominate a restriction and force Maryam to make it be the unicorn?
I wanted to be able.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to make that the product I'm going to touch, because now that it was out and I talked about it, I'm like, I don't want to put it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's just a basket for Sarah. For me, it's a unicorn. What is it for Nitya and Julie? What are you? Do you want to?
What's calling to you?
One of the project.
I'm going to try. Try is the keyword to finish critters.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's so many other Workbasket patterns I want to do.
Yeah.
So, because we only have several of them.
Yeah.
So, yes,
that's small collection.
I'll at least touch it, but try. I should be able to. Critters.
You can do it.
You can do it.
One.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the Summer House Stitch Works.
Perfect.
Just because it'll be easy and I don't have to make decisions about colors.
Yeah. Not at all.
And I think with the changing seasons, because now we're entering spring, and then by the time our next video comes, it'll be summer. So maybe some seasonal inspiration.
Nice. That
Get
was
me
good.
going on that. Yeah, that's my pick.
Yay!
Hey,
We did it.
we did it. Well, thanks for joining us, folks who are
Yeah.
watching.
Thank you, anybody who's watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, friends.
And you'll see all of it. We'll all keep up with our individual floss tubes, right? So you'll see us individually, and then we'll have another chat. If we're always looking for ideas for what to do for our needle minders chat. So if there's any topics you think could be interesting to explore. I mean, we come up with stuff too, but if there's anything you all have ideas about, share those in the chat or in the comments with us. Yeah.
And we love giving opinions on colors. So
We really do.
If you need opinions, we have them.
Yes. Yes. We have thoughts.
Yeah. So have we said everything we want to say?
Yeah.
So
Okay. Thanks,
happy
everybody.
stitching,
Thanks
everybody.
for tuning in. Yep. Happy stitching.
Everyone. Thank you.
Okay.